Meat is inflating in price. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I want to talk about an article from Yahoo Finance which is highlighting something I have even noticed. It's meat getting more expensive. Now, we've been attempting the carnivore diet for some time, with occasional slip-ups, usually chocolate, breaking through our meat-heavy diet. We notice the rising cost of meat. Now, here's the thing. I'm a big fan of low-carb down under. I'm a big fan of the carnivore diet. And generally, I've seen great improvements in particularly weight loss and health for all members of my family that have done it. But it's expensive. It is expensive. Don't kid yourself if you go down this diet. Even if you buy the cheaper meats, even if you get it in bulk, which we used to do, and we will again, we'd buy a whole cow. But you need to have a couple of grand to drop to be able to do that. And you're getting your eye fillet cheap, but you're also paying a little bit more for the bones and for the mince, or you were. So it's an expensive diet. It's something we choose to do as a priority because we consider it maintaining our health, to be brutally honest. You want to mitigate the risks of becoming pre-diabetic. And all the rubbish you hear about heart disease, it's all been disproven. It's all out of date. But the issue is, when times get tough, what are people going to turn to? They're going to avoid this type of expensive food, and they're going to go to the center aisles. And what do you find? You find really packaged, shelf-stable crap. And a lot of it is seed oil. That's really the thing I'm most concerned with, this artificial abomination of rubbish that humans have only been exposed to for a short period of time that correlates very highly with the increase in heart disease, diabetes, obesity compared to the past. It's funny how people try to draw these parallels with meat consumption when the American diet is primarily carbohydrate-based. And a lot of those carbohydrates are artificial seed oils, which were used for, engine lubricant. Just look into how it's made, everyone. The shit that you're eating, look into how it's made. I think if you keep it clean and simple, you're going to be better than processed rubbish. You know, even going on a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet, which I'm not a fan of, and there's a lot of nutritional deficiencies there. But even that, if you're avoiding all the processed garbage, that is a step in the right direction. That's what we did when we first started changing our diet up from processed crap to healthier stuff. But nevertheless, food is getting more expensive, and this worries me because it will drive people towards the cheaper stuff. When we were doing it tough, Rachel got our budget down really low, our food budget, because food is our biggest expense, bigger than our mortgage. And it was all garbage. It was all filler food, like rice and potatoes, wheat. Once you're used to eating a high calorific content diet that actually tastes good, all this other shit just tastes like it's just filler. It really is. But anyway, let's have a look at this, because this is concerning. Long term, if this continues, it's going to have health consequences, or it already is. We're not eating enough meat. So it may be time to start thinking about alternatives to red meat, the major supermarkets say, as inflation adds a sting to rising grocery prices across Australia. As fuel pushes past the $2 a litre mark, fuel? Shit. Price rises in other consumer goods are being felt more acutely, particularly in the supermarket. Yahoo Finance spoke to the big supermarket chains, Woolworths and Coles, to get a sense of which prices were going up and down during a time of uncertainty in domestic and world supplies, coupled with high inflation. We also have just the whole issue with regards to fruit and veg getting more expensive because labor issues. Remember, everyone, next month there's going to be minimum wage for fruit pickers, okay? Just remember that when your fruit and veg start to skyrocket, moving away from a pick rate to just an hourly rate. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's what people want. So the news is not all bad for shoppers, okay? Fresh produce is in, red meat is out. Well, until we see that wage rise come in that sector. Woolworths CEO Brad Banducci said favorable growing conditions from 2 years of heavy rain across the bulk of the continent have seen prices of traditionally expensive foods such as avocado drop below average. Right now, I have to call out avocados and apples, where we have a lot of deflation. We have a lot of avocados. There's been a very good growing season and a lot of extra supply coming out. We're selling avocados at $1.50, which is fabulous because it's a superfood. I don't mind avos, to be honest. Apples are a real everyday item, and they're a great value on them right now. See, with all the fruit, they're just fiber and sugar. Here's the thing: the nutrients that is available in it doesn't have the same bioavailability as what you get for animal products. It's not the same. It's easier for your body to use the nutrients it gets from animals than it is from fruit and veg. That's not incorrect. That's accurate. So don't let people steer you the wrong path. However, meat lovers have been feeling the bite at the checkout, with beef and lamb continuing to rise in price. The most expensive things that have happened to us is red meat. Both beef and lamb have become incredibly expensive, and we're all noticing that. They've become almost a bit of a luxury item. See, this is the thing. You don't want it to be a luxury item. You want it to be a staple for health. That said, pork prices have stopped going up, and certainly chicken prices are holding. And it seems as if we might get good pink salmon prices. So red meat is becoming more expensive, but there are opportunities for families to buy alternative forms of protein that are more affordable. A Coles spokesperson told Yahoo Finance inflation was a constant pressure on food prices. However, recent favorable growing conditions have seen some produce prices drop. We understand value is important to our customers and work hard to ensure our prices remain competitive in the market. We'll continue to work with our suppliers to sensitively, industry-wide inflationary pressures on food prices. Now, have you ever worked with the big boys? Not as a staff member. I mean, even then you're screwed over. But as a contractor or as a supplier, they've got a reputation. I remember I was trying to get a foot in the door for Coles for some reason. I wanted to expand my the projects we worked on, and we finally got an opportunity. We did I think a point cloud job for them, and then I put a price into Documenter to draw up the existing conditions. And what they expected me to do for the money was just ludicrous. It really was. I find retail is a really tough gig for an architect. Like all of the shop fit outs we did, there's no meat in those fees. There's hardly anything in them. You really got to cookie cutter it, but they don't want to cookie cutter it because everything is different and unique, so it's a challenge. Favorable growing conditions, we've seen that. So strong economy, negative inflation, or negating inflation. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg said inflation and international pressure on goods and services were always two factors for Australian consumers, yet pointed to the low unemployment rate as one thing keeping the economy afloat. Inflation is up off the back of global supply chain disruptions and increased demands for goods, while geopolitical tensions, including the Ukrainian invasion, has seen sharp price increases in energy, which is showing up at the fuel bowser here in Australia. At 1.3% for the quarter and 3.5% through the year, inflation in Australia is half of what it is in the US and lower than Germany, Canada, and the UK. Here's the thing. We don't have to be... Well, to be the lucky country, we just have to be better than all the other countries. We don't have to be lucky. We don't have to be good. Times don't have to be that much better. I think we're a bit spoiled here. But despite the global supply chain disruptions that Australia and many other countries around the world face, the Australian economy is remarkably resilient. I'd say lucky. With unemployment rate at a 13-year low of 4.2%. The RBA is expecting the unemployment rate to have a 3 in front of it for the first time since 1974 and have significantly upgraded their wages outlook, forecasting wages growth of 3% next year above the 2.6% when we came to office, despite facing the largest economic shock since the Great Depression. Well, let me just bring up one little chart here that may help explain why everything's going so well. They chucked the kitchen sink at it, guys. You know, here we go. We'll have a look here. Government to the rescue. You know, they kept zombie companies alive. You've got JobKeeper. People trading while insolvent. You've got nearly 9% of Victorians supported by JobKeeper, or those employed. You got the insanely low cash rate. You got Home Builder, $88,000. Remember when that seemed like a lot? Now it's $200,000. 5%, 2% home loans. I just have to laugh. You know, I can't get upset anymore. It's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. It's just the normal now. And people will want this shit here in Australia. That's what they'll want. You got negative interest rate or negative gearing, super withdrawals, and then, oh, this is more to do with housing, but the Australian dream. So let's talk about this one. Inflation's definitely going up. We're feeling it. I'm feeling it. My 7-Eleven coffees are still $1. When they go over $1, then we know inflation's really hit. Because, I mean, that's a complex product. There's imported ingredients to it. There's a rental cost. There's electricity cost. There's transportation costs. There's imported cups. So it's an interesting barometer. But it's also something they'll take a loss on to get you in there buying other things. So they may observe it. My concern is that this increase in costs in meat and what I would argue are healthier foods is going to drive more people to eat foods which will bring on pre-diabetic illness and ironically make them more susceptible to gaining weight and then, well, at a higher risk of introduce comorbidities that make them at a higher risk of suffering from bad effects of COVID. So, I mean, what should people do? I would encourage you to look at low carb down under. I would encourage you to make sacrifices and put high quality food as your number one priority in your family, particularly if you're feeding children as well. You want them to have high quality food. You don't want them to have any health issues. You don't want to stunt their growth, anything like that. You want them to have good teeth. You know, a kid shouldn't have any holes in their teeth at all. That's actually one takeaway, guys. Rachel, 6 pregnancies. All the first ones, standard Australian diet. Her teeth would crumble every time she got pregnant. Switching to carnivore, not a problem at all. And this is someone who used to have to get like emergency root canals and things like this because her teeth were falling apart because her body just wasn't getting the nutrients because we were eating what we were meant to eat. Funny that. So guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. It's a very divisive topic. There's so many people who are embracing a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle with the same zeal as someone does a fanatical religion. And, well, I can't say embracing the carnivore diet isn't that much different. But long term, the outcomes are very different. Anyway, guys, if you're a fan of the channel and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can help out. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon, sign up for SelfWealth or Stake, use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. And I want to point you to this video about buying meat in bulk, what Rachel does to save money. Buying it all and preparing it and packaging it itself. That big freezer we bought was one of the best things we ever got. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.